Folks, welcome to this week's Bible study and current events. We're glad you're with us, and I mean that. If you're watching again live, you can call us, and I wish you would. Let us know you're out there. I know you're watching, but you tell me on Thursdays when you call that you're there every week, and the phone number's there for you to call and be part of the family. Don't feel like you're interrupting us because you're not. We're just a family here trying to learn some things together and spend time together in fellowship. And we realize how blessed we are to have this little group here. We don't draw many in this area, and that's just the way it is. But we are blessed to have what we have here because we're really close. And some of these folks have been part of this ministry since the beginning of it. And they don't know how much I appreciate them, but I really do. I want to start like I always do on the lighter side, if you don't mind. How many of y'all remember Bob Hope?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, he's married the same woman for about 69 years. You know, I mean, I listen to that. We think somebody from Hollywood married the same woman 69 years. Must have something in his life right. I'll read some of the things he said as he got older.
Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
How come did that be like autumn soil?
What? Because of the fall?
Had a great fall.
He had a great fall. Okay, gosh.
You
On the deathbed, they asked Bob Hope where he wanted to be buried, and he said, "Surprise me."
Mm-hmm.
Bob, let's see, let's see kind of right questions here. Hang on a second, pass down through the fast can. On turning 70, he said, I still chase women, but only downhill. Remember that, Marsh? That should be 70, got to chase you downhill.
Good thing you didn't live in Kansas.
yeah. On turning 80, that's the time of your life, even when your birthday suit needs pressing.
Or depressing.
On turning 90, you know you're getting old when the candles cost more than the cake. On turning 100, he'll be 100 actually. I don't feel old. In fact, I don't feel anything till noon, then I take a nap. On giving up his early career in boxing, he said, I ruined my hands in the ring. The referee kept stepping on them. On never winning an Oscar, welcome to the Academy Awards, or as it's called in my home, Passover. On golf, he said, golf is my profession. Show business just helped to pay for my green fees. On presidents, I have performed for 12 presidents, but entertained only 6. On why he chose showbiz for his career, when I was born, the doctor said to my mother, congratulations, you have an 8-pound ham. On receiving the Congressional Medal of Honor, I feel very humble, but I think I have the strength of character to fight it. On his family's early poverty, 4 of us slept in one bed. When it was cold, Mother threw in another brother. I like it. One of his 6 brothers. That's how I learned to dance, waiting for the bathroom. I always picture a field house with 5 women in the house waiting for the bathroom when they had one. I mean,
No, well, we only had one at first.
I know what I'm saying.
I added 3 more.
Yes, sir.
on his early failures, I would not have anything to eat if it wasn't for the stuff the audience threw at me. On going to heaven, I've done benefits for all religions. And I hate to blow the hereafter on a technicality. So anyway, I thought you'd enjoy those.
Wow.
The guy had a long career, and it was pretty much all clean fun that people actually watch. I want to start reading a few verses in Psalms 36 before we get into current events. And I think what I'm going to share the tie through Scripture a lot is a verse there. We'll read a verse 1. And I just want you to listen to what David wrote here. The transgression of the wicked saith within my heart that there is no fear of God before his eyes. For he flattereth himself in his own eyes until his iniquity be found to be hateful. Are we seeing much fear of God in society today?
Yes.
No.
I mean, do we see any reverence really, even in most churches today, for what the Lord has done or can do or should do?
I don't know who he is.
No, they don't.
Actually, they fear the devil more than they fear Jesus.
Oh yeah, they do. Well, they worship him more.
They
Why
fear the
not?
government. That's what they fear.
Yeah. But when you read this, though, you see that the time is then and now is again in those last, I think, the last days of when the fear of God in this one society that I grew up in, where moral morality was expected. Now, of course, it wasn't always there, but it's expected. Neighbors expected from their neighbors. And
Why does heathen not reverence and respect the church? Or why did they used to?
Well, why should they respect the church? What's it done lately?
Because used to be they'd see power.
Yep, you should
I mean,
church.
I couldn't hear, there was one guy one time they had a potbelly stove in the church that I was raised in. And he said, God wants everyone to know the power that he has. And he went up and picked that red potbelly stove up and set it down, and not a hair on his arms, nothing was burned. And I mean, that seems like something minor or something. Well, why didn't they just kill somebody right there or something? Because it's those God things that's totally unexpected. For him, the power is not being shown. And love, God's love is what draws the lost to him, and it's not being seen anywhere.
Can I say something? Because I was driving home the other day, and I happened to turn on a radio station, and they were talking about the Bridge Day.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 500 and some people going to jump off that bridge. And there's
Today?
nothing wrong. And there's nothing wrong with the bridge.
Today.
But the organizer was on there, and he's actually going to participate too. And the man asked him, the interviewer said, "Are you fearful?" And he says, "Fear makes you respect what you're doing." He said that's a safety factor. And so, fear can be good or bad.
Sure.
Fear of the Lord is good.
Yes.
Fear, if you're doing something that's dangerous, makes you more respectful and sober. So
Makes you
that was
pack
a
your own
good-
shoes.
Yeah, literally. Anyway, I want to read a little bit of an article that Joe brought to me this morning. A guy wrote a book called The Da Vinci Code, totally heathen all the way through, named Dan Brown. Is teaching something that I've heard before, that they call it New Age, but actually it's been around for thousands of years. I remember back when I worked for a company called Performance Engineering Products, I was talking to the president of the company. I said, he said, "You're a Christian?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, "And do you pray?" I said, "Sure, I pray a lot." He said, "Prayer works because it's a connection of the minds all around the world connecting.
Yeah.
It's minds connecting. It's your thoughts connecting with other people's thoughts, and they link
Right.
up all over the world. And that's what makes answers come, because people's minds are connecting." What a weird statement.
Thank God it's total opposite. You're removing your mind and spirit
But
from the things of this earth.
this author
Thank
said,
God.
"Are we naive today to believe that gods of the present will survive to be here 100 years? Christianity, Judaism, and Islam will all share a gospel loosely, and it's important that we all realize that. Our religions are much more similar than they are different. We will start to find out spiritual experiences through our interconnections with each other that will lead to some form of global consciousness that what we perceive, and that becomes our divine, becomes our God. Our need for that exterior God that sits up there and judges us will diminish and eventually disappear." Dan Brown, supposedly intelligent man.
The Lord says that if we had the faith, we could move mountains, and I think we do have power through God, through Christ. But they mistaken that as in themselves or in the community. Like it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a mess.
Instead of God within us, it's I am God. In me,
Yeah.
in myself, I am God.
You look at the cover of the Week magazine. Has a picture of the flag shot full of holes and said, "The killing field. Is the U.S. powerless to stop mass shootings? Yes.
Yes.
Repentance is the answer. Christ is the answer.
Yeah.
Following his laws and dictates of morality would stop the mass shootings in this country as a whole. They would stop all, we never did. But it would stop as a whole. But the nation is looking to man for answers.
That's right.
And the only answer is repentance before Almighty God, begging forgiveness, and asking for healing. But do you see it happening anywhere?
Actually, I asked somebody that question one time, and she said she was a Christian. And I said, if Donald Trump was declared by God to be this anointed Messiah of America, how come you're not on your face repenting of your sins? She said, "What sins?" She said she went to the church. She said she was a Christian. She said, "What sins?" And I had to respond by saying, "The sins of idolatry."
They don't understand what that is. 4 people were arrested after a fist fight in an empathy tent at the University of California, Berkeley. The tent was conceived as a space for pro-Trump and Antifa activists to find common ground. The passion ran so high last week that the tent was almost knocked over. It's tough, said tent founder Edwin Fulch, but we do what we can to foster dialogue. An Idaho woman is facing burglary charges after she used a coffee shop's fire extinguisher to rescue a child trapped in a burning car. Now this is sad.
Oh my God.
Tequila Isaacson, 34, says that after she broke a window to get the life-saving device, a police officer told her she would be charged with burglary because using a fire extinguisher that doesn't belong to me is theft, no matter how good your intentions.
Oh my gosh, James.
28 Deuteronomy.
Oh yeah. Good week for self-reliance after an Italian fitness instructor became so frustrated with the dating game that she married herself in a lavish ceremony. Laura Messi, 40, spent $12,000 to stage my fairy tale wedding, only without a Prince Charming.
The ones who she kissed at the end of the wedding.
Herself, probably.
Beer.
Bad week for human dignity after excited male visitors so badly molested a realistic new sex robot at an electronics festival in Austria that she needed extensive repairs. People can be bad, said inventor Sergi Santos. They treated the doll like barbarians. Let that sink in what I just read to you. Rape the doll. That's lower than animals.
Well, he sold his product, didn't he?
Yeah, he got their attention. A British man who thought he had lung cancer was relieved to discover that his suspected tumor was in fact a toy traffic cone he inhaled 43 years earlier.
Oh my God.
Paul Baxter, of 50, was suffering from a lingering cough and had X-ray revealed a mass on his chest. When the doctors put a camera down his throat, they were surprised to spot something small and orange in his lung. They removed the object, which Baxter identified as a cone from a model railway set he'd gotten for his 7th birthday. I must have had it in my mouth and it went down my windpipe, said Baxter, who plans to pass the souvenir on to my grandchildren. Okay. I done tore that.
Must have been lacking some minerals.
You didn't eat out of the full bucket.
No. Anyone who has the power to make you believe absurdities has the power to make you commit injustices.
Yep.
Good point.
That's a good statement.
Yeah.
It is an unwavering rule for those in power that when it comes to heads, it is best to cut them off before they start thinking. Ain't that the truth?
That's exactly what they're doing.
Of course, we see the cover of this. Trump and Weinstein and all the other guys in the back here, they talk about sexual abuse, whatever, but you know. If you all this stuff been going on, no doubt about it. But it sure is coming unwound for a purpose. This is not, believe me, they're not let this come to the forefront to really help anybody. There's something else behind it. It's a smokescreen for something. Indiana Supreme Court has ruled that it's illegal for adults to send sexual text messages to 16-year-olds, even though it's legal to have sex with them.
It is?
What? In its 5-0 ruling, the court reinstated charges against a 40-year-old man who sexted a 16-year-old girl, but acknowledged that Indiana's sexting laws are inconsistent with the low age of consent. The discrepancy, of course, said this was a matter for the legislature. So in Indiana, you have 16-year-old, it's no big deal. Now, they want to lower that, I'm not making it up, to age 10. Bad week for literality after the Food and Drug Administration warned the Massachusetts Natural Foods Company to stop listing love as an ingredient in its granola, since love is not a common or usual name of an ingredient.
They'll make prayer.
I have to pass a law to stop using the word love in it.
Well, they'll be passing laws that can't list prayer on Miracle too.
I guess. It's
They're trying to
amazing.
pass laws in California to use the pronoun father, mother, son, or daughter. Or if it's a transgender man, you have to call him Mrs. If you call him sir, you can go to prison and be fined $1,000.
Oh, that's going on in California right now. They're working there, yeah. This we'll see in video in a minute. This is, I think, an instance of this. A guy named Rocky Palomero was shot by a gunman in the crowd during Sunday night's mass shooting in Las Vegas. The man was in the crowd shooting people. He's one of the victims that was shot, and he's talking about the story. Now, I'm going to share that in a minute on video. I was going to cover it, so you're going to see it. The guy out there shooting a gun in crowd and video. This young lady, by the name of Kimberly Suckamel, 27 years old, was getting ready to go, and she started talking about on Facebook about being chased by people in the crowd with guns. She's 27 years old. She died suddenly of a seizure. Just shut her up. And I got more than that here. This was sent to me from one of my contacts. I sent to Phil too online, but he filled in and out on the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police notes.
Got it.
Got it.
You'll see it.
You'll see it?
Anonymous, right?
Yeah, it's anonymous.
We got it.
Okay, this will just tell you that this was a gun deal going bad.
That's the only thing that makes sense to you. The explosives, he wasn't going to use the explosives, so why did he have them?
Exactly.
It was a deal.
And here's the application I'm talking about. This is out of Dickinson, Texas. Hurricane Harvey repair grant application and agreement, but by and between the city of Dickinson and the agreements between the city of Dickinson and the home rule court. But anyway, it goes on through here to tell you on page 3 of this form. It says verification not to boycott Israel. By executing this agreement below, the applicant verifies that the applicant does not boycott Israel and will not boycott Israel during the term of this agreement. Now, what does that have to do with grants?
Explain to me why we have people with dual citizenship and they're Israeli citizens and American citizens, and in Congress.
And in Congress, you're right, yes.
Yeah.
And that's even unconstitutional itself. But then, nonetheless, this is an application. I'm not making it up. This actually is an application. So if you're going to get money for this, to rebuild your home, you got to tell them that you're not going to go against Israel. I wonder who may have a hand in this.
Trump?
Zionist Jews. Zionist Jews.
Yes. I just thought that's unusual. And I don't know how they're going to make it stick, but we'll see. Nationwide, human trafficking stings ensnare multiple cops, 84 kids, and as young as 3 months old freed. This is not making national news. I don't know why. This should be all the news. This happened in Polk County, Florida. Multiple undercover sting operations across the United States were carried out this month targeting adults and child sex trafficking. The results of many of these stings netted hundreds of arrests, including doctors, pharmacists, high-level military officers, and law enforcement of dozens of children who were also rescued, including one as young as 3 months old. That's the most we've ever arrested in the history of this sheriff's office, said Grady Jr., son of the undercover operation in Polk County, Florida. The sheriff is referring to 277 people rounded up in Operation No Tricks, No Treats. It started last Tuesday. They took out a bunch of perverts on that one. But I wonder why they didn't make the news.
I don't know, but they're going to have to start emptying some of these prisons, so there's going to be
3 months old. What
Well,
are you
yes,
saying?
yes. So it goes on to talk about that uncover raids for prostitution and everything else. Now back to the shooting in Las Vegas. I've got one last thing to show on this, and we'll get into something else. But James Fetcher sent this to me, and I sent it to Phil. And Fetcher was always a regular guest on Jeff Rent's program.
Oh, yeah.
And Jeff kicked him off his program because of what he uncovered with the shooting. Now, I cannot verify any of this. I wasn't there.
Right.
All I can do is go by the evidence that's put before me, like the video, and obviously the video shows a man pointing a gun up. There's no doubt about it, it's there. So I wasn't there to see it. But these are things here that Jim Fetcher, if you listen to my program, you know who Jim Fetcher is. He's a professor, retired, highly intelligent man. But he's not a Christian, he's an atheist, but highly intelligent, and loves to talk to me about the Bible. Can you believe that? You never know.
Well, it's kind of like the person we knew, Bill Rice.
Yeah.
He saw perfection in the Bible, but he couldn't accept the Bible.
I just don't understand that. But anyway, he goes on to talk about some things, and this is true. You see for yourself. The guy, the security guard, Jesus, what's his name?
Campos.
Campos, was supposed to appear on NBC and CNN news broadcast, and he didn't show up. Well, he did show up to one. They went in and set something up, and then he disappeared while they were in setting the studio up. But he appeared, supposed on Ellen DeGeneres, the sexual pervert show, but it wasn't him. Now that's a fact. I'm going to show you the picture. You can, no doubt about it. That's him on the right, and the guy showed up on the left. He put on a lot of weight in 2 or 3 days. He was shaved. He didn't wear glasses, and he lost the moles on his face. Now these are facts, okay? This was not Jesus Campos. What happened to the man? I don't know. But this is not the man that was the security guard. Now this Jim Fetzer is. I tell you, when he goes after, he's an investigative reporter. He goes after stuff and he does it really, really strongly. He contacted the 3 hospitals in the area where this shooting happened. Called them personally. I contacted these 3 hospitals, all which are the closest emergency facilities from the alleged shooting: Spring Valley Hospital, AMG, Spatially Hospital, North Vista Hospital. I asked if they would check their registry for a gunshot victim that was taken there from the mass shooting on Mandalay Bay Hotel. I received the same reply from each facility. There were no gunshot victims admitted to the facility. You may want to check with local police. One woman said, if you are referring to the crisis drill that everyone keeps calling about, then I'm sorry, there were no real gunshot victims. That was just a drill. If you don't believe me, call them yourself. Here are the phone numbers you can call. He gives them his phone numbers for the hospitals. So I don't know. I wasn't there. It's just, but this is you can call the number, check for yourself. They had no gunshot victims. I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Another Sandy Hook.
It could be. But Jim Fetcher said it was all another play. I have a hard time seeing that. I really do. These are facts. So I don't know. Somebody give me the answers.
Everyone I talk to says the whole thing stinks. The UPS man, the mailman, everyone I talk to.
Wow.
Well, I was on Dr. Bill Deagle's show that day, and a guy called me Thursday. I went on the show Friday afternoon. The guy said, I need to share something on the show. So I will call in Dr. Deagle Friday and share it. He lives in Las Vegas. He said a lot of things happened that the news didn't cover. They didn't tell the whole story. He shared some of it on the air. But I don't know all the details. Like I said, I wasn't there, but he shared what he knew from living there. He said one of the local broadcasters, a man and wife team on one of the local stations, shared some things and said we're going to break a story here that is going to shock the nation, shock the world. But then they shut up. They didn't come back and share anymore.
Kevin Gallagher, you know him.
Oh yeah.
Up in is it Connecticut?
Yeah, Connecticut.
Yeah, and the day of the Sandy Hook, he was at a bowling alley, and a whole high school brought all their buses there, and evidently they didn't even know they were going to be moved out. That they were moved out before that shooting happened. For some reason, they moved the school to a place they weren't even supposed to be. He said something stinks.
Something weird.
And then, of course, do you remember that bin Laden was never on the FBI's 10 most wanted list? And they asked him why, and they said, we have no reason to put him on there.
Yep. There's a lot of stuff that just, and I want to share one more thing with you here, and we'll close like Phil showed some videos. But all this information I'm receiving is coming from Jim Fetcher's a good source. And believe me, he's not a crackpot.
How many books has the man written?
Oh my gosh.
Like about 50.
Yeah, he's a good source. He's not making this stuff up. But the hospitals that were in that area didn't have any shooting victims. Where did they go? Close to 500 wounded, wasn't they? 50-something killed, 500 wounded.
Yeah, it was funny. There was an interview here in West Virginia. Supposedly someone from the Eastern Panhandle.
Got killed there?
His wife
Yeah.
got killed.
She was
And-
died in his arms.
You know how you just get a feeling when you listen to something? Everything that the man said was just about, it seemed as though he was trying to make his wife a martyr, but it seemed fake too at the same time. You know what I
I
mean?
thought,
It's like,
who could get right on the news as soon as it happened? It
And then talk about it, didn't crack
Yeah,
it.
talk about a death.
he
Well, and it
didn't,
was-
his voice didn't waver. You know, he was under control. When he did seem emotional, it seemed like it was fake.
Put on.
Crisis
That's
actor.
that's
Yeah.
almost
Well,
personal.
Again, there's some,
Crisis
this is too big to hide too long. So they got to get people's minds off of this.
Well, and
What's next?
I mean, the news before he ever come on or whatever, they talked of how much they had always done together, and
Even Fox News says it's
Yeah, there's something wrong
stinks
here.
of
So
conspiracy.
something's got to get people's minds off this, and they're going to find something. Let me just share with you something Phil sent me. We all heard the all big NFL protest and kneeling and all this, and the fight between Trump and the NFL, and I'll just tell you, I'll give you all a copy of the article. I think if it ended up being in this month's magazine, it's actually war between two idols: the state and the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
People worship both of them.
Yeah.
Okay? But I want you to read some of the reasons some of these folks give, these all black folks. I'm not picking on blacks, I'm sorry. It's facts, I can't change their color. Give for not standing for the anthem. Now, I don't care if they don't stand, I really don't care about that. But I want you to listen to the reasons they put forward. Pretty sure it's against Nazis, especially the white ones. Yeah. We're protesting America becoming capitalistic instead of equal. I'm protesting against Trump saying black lives don't matter. We're against global warming and the police. This is the reason, but
What in the heck?
we're showing the world that we care about things such as freedom from suppression. Me and my fellow players are protesting the Constitution of Independence because of what it does to people of color.
Oh, these are the players?
yeah,
Yeah, these are players. These are all black folks. I got to repeat it again. Me and my fellow players, already good speech taken right off there, are protesting the Constitution of Independence. I've heard that, Doctor, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Because of what it does to people of color. We are displaying our right hand. We are displaying our right to stand up by kneeling for our beliefs. We are protesting Trump because he, keeping black man down and myself is kneeling to show that just because I'm American, don't mean I got to act like one.
What?
leave.
Those are some very intelligent men.
That is a very intelligent man. I'm so honored that.
What is acting like an American? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. But
Put your
I'm
hand in your
amazed.
heart,
I mean-
salute the flag.
These guys
No,
get
that's
paid
patriotic.
Just like
millions
American.
of dollars a year, and they're too dumb to scratch their hind end itches. I don't care what color they are. These men are too ignorant to function in society.
They're brute beasts.
They are brute beasts.
Play ball.
So anyway, we're going to watch some videos now, folks. I think you want to pay attention to because you're going to see in a minute on live stream. You're going to see it on something that's recorded on live. A man in the audience with a security guard outfit picking up a rifle and shooting people in the crowd. You're going to see it. Okay, Phil.
Here it is. Wow. That smoke, I can touch it, yeah. Look at that. Stefan Ray works for Sweden's largest train operating company, the first in the world to begin using microchips that sit underneath the skin as train tickets.
This microchip implant sits right here.
That's it.
That's it.
And it's under your skin.
It's under my skin.
Okay, here comes the ticket officer. This is our chance to see if that works. Each passenger with a microchip must be registered with a membership number. The microchip holds this number, and when the inspector scans the chip, the ticket comes up in her validation app. It's there? So it shows the tickets, our names, and it all came from that, yeah. So what about privacy?
The solution we found was that if we just put the membership number, that won't be telling anyone anything about you outside our company. There's no transmitter here, so you can't be tracked like with a GPS or something.
So far, around 3,000 people in Sweden have a microchip.
in theory, you could use the microchip implant to replace a lot of stuff. I mean, your credit cards, the keys to your house, the keys to your car.
Well, the Swedish government, you knew it'd be them. They're coming out announcing a plan to microchip the entire population. It's going to replace your credit cards. It's going to replace your keys. And the British government is teaching gender reassignment to everyone starting in kindergarten. It's not pedophilia. It's not sexualization of children. It's not child abuse. No, you might be a boy even though you're a girl, or you might be a girl even though you're a boy, or vice versa. There is an organized global system of corruption and evil that has made a conscious decision to implement the controlled disintegration and takedown of this civilization and of every form of freedom and of every form of normal biological human activity in what the social engineers and the captains of the eugenics operations call the final revolution. The final revolution will automate and take full control of the genetic code and the complete operations of humanity, and will be what the technocrats also call the end of history. I've developed the term that they are writing the future history now. They are writing the future now. And we are here telling you the history of the future as it is currently projected. If I have a quiver of arrows on my back and I have a compound bow, or I have a regular recurve bow, or a standard Welsh long bow, any type of bow, and I draw that arrow and I'm proficient with that bow, and I've practiced, and I'm looking at a target 100 yards away, I can aim at that target, pull back the bow to my ear, relax and loose the arrow, and from experience, I know 2 seconds before I release that arrow that it's going to hit in the general vicinity of the middle of the bullseye, of the hay bale I'm shooting at, with an orange spot painted on it. I know the future before it happens. You're like, yes, that's elementary. That's easy to do. That's like if you have a child that goes to school and you know the bus takes them home at 3 and they get home about 3:45. You know that you can wait there for that bus hundreds of times, and little Bobby or little Jenny is going to get off that bus. You are predicting the future accurately. And civilization is all about being able to organize and then predict the future. But to predict the future, you've got to organize the future. And the globalists have set up a system where they tell you there's no collusion in government, there's no collusion with criminals, and you shouldn't think about anybody trying to organize your future because there's no such thing. So that you have a flotsam and jetsam attitude, like a piece of garbage floating around on the surface of the ocean where the tides and the winds make merriment with you, and you have no rudder or no direction or no North Star or no destination or no purpose. This is how you first disorient somebody and put them into a position to then lose their will. And this is the currency that the globalists traffic in. It's the highest thing they want, is the control over your mind. And then they trick people to think it's funny to laugh about this stuff. Because deep down, subconsciously, it's a defense mechanism for the average person who is a complete loser and who's all alone and whose only friends or characters on television are kind of virtue signaling to other people on the street that they're part of the club, but really they're completely empty and completely alone. And Facebook's own documents, there's thousands of different documents that show this from the establishment, but just this year about how pathetic you are and how they want to make you more lonely and control you. And then they're going to pop up ads for depression testing funded by the big pharma companies to then direct you to a doctor to put you on a drug that reduces your life expectancy by 33% and causes massive brain damage. By the way, that's in the news today. And that's only one facet of it. Yeah, there's the New York Post in January telling us something we told you 10 years ago, what Google and Facebook want. Facebook wants to be able to read your mind and control it. And by the way, the folks that want to control your will, they're not jolly old elves. They're not in Santa's workshop trying to make you some fun toys. They're not very nice people. They don't have a conscience. All they've got's pure, absolute, psychopathic will. And my very fiber cries out against them. Let me just do this before I get into it in great detail. Let me just read the social engineering stack for you. This is just in the stacks of news today. There's a giant rollout from ABC News to CBS News to MSNBC to BBC to the Finnish and the Swedish governments. Perfect Northern Europe cultures, totally communal. You can tell them to walk off a cliff, they'll do it. Good people, but there's just total social submission. It's why Germany was so bad in World War II, because they followed orders. Smart people, but very tribal. And they've announced they're going to make you take microchips to get on the train or bus now. It's not coming, it's here. Implanted microchips to replace credit cards and car keys. That's on newswars.com, infowars.com, and drudgereport.com. Link to it. It's a Paul Joseph Watson article. We're going to play a clip, but it's just so wonderful. Oh, 3,000 have already lined up to get their chip. Here's another one. Transgender issues dividing schools, parents and kids in the UK. It says the Tavistock Institute, this is just RT, reporting it like it's a good thing, runs it. And it says they're now setting aside 3-year-olds for their sexual surgery and their gender reassignment. And the schools are going to decide now and take little Billy or little Susie to have their genitals cut off. It's not child abuse. It's not pedophilia. It's not the most horrible nightmare novel ever. Oh, no, it's liberal, because once they get you to say it's liberal and it's stunning and brave, well, then you've got to go along with it. In the cult of Mithra, as the caller pointed out, that's what this is. And it says right here, as young as 3 years old, directed by London's Tavistock Institute. Did you know that it's declassified? That the Tavistock Institute is the premier organization for mind control They developed the plan for ugly modern art, ugly modern buildings. It's all declassified, and directed the CIA's MK Ultra program. And it's well known the Tavistock Institute pioneered psychology with Skinner and others that pedophilia was okay. It was set up by OSS. So the average person reads this, oh, the Tavistock Institute is going to help 3-year-olds have their penises chopped off. Completely. But that's okay because, you know, it's MI6. Nothing creepy, nothing evil. Oh, and then I just here's the news, you know, Duke recruits men for program to fight toxic masculinity. Oh, that's right. They've taken down images of men with muscles, football team photos, and colleges because, see, it's all hurt. See, this isn't tolerance. See, this is a man existing is hurtful. And that's what women in the frontline combat's all about. That's what all of this is about. It's about ending all the roles to end humans so that when the machines come in, we'll be so obsolete, so drugged out, so whacked out, so atomized, only glued to our smartphones, we won't even know who we are. Smartphones in many studies are more addictive than opium. Tucker Carlson asked the question last night, have smartphones destroyed a generation? You bet they have. You give them to your children, they get depressed, they stop talking to you, they get viciously angry if you don't give them to them. Number of stay-at-home dads falls as novelty of being a new man wears off. It just turns out the women don't want that role and the money isn't coming in. So see, the social engineering is going to be hard to force, but they're going to get it done. Implanted microchip replaced credit cards and car keys. UC Berkeley prepared for chaos ahead of conservative speaker after they've helped engineer the whole thing. We're going to get into all this. That's just the stack on social engineering. Google's depression tool could lead to dangerous overtreatment and addiction to antidepressants, expert warns. Yes, the computer is going to tell you you're sick now and then give you directions to the local doctor to give them to you. Warning for those on antidepressants, the commonly prescribed drug raises the risk of early death by 33%. Yes, you want cancer? Take a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. You know what they are? Weaponized fluoride.
In ancient times, man roamed the earth in a constant state of hunting or being hunted. Introducing Caveman, where cutting-edge science meets ancient super nutrients. Secure your bottle right now at InfoWarsStore.com.
Alright guys, I just got some information from a friend I've known my whole life, more than 20 years. He's friends with Anonymous. I mean the real Anonymous, the ones that are actually doing the hacking, not just normal people who join Anonymous. Well anyway, he sent me some screenshots of what Anonymous has put out on the internet. Evidently, Anonymous has hacked the Las Vegas Police Department's computers, and they found some notes being sent back and forth between the FBI and the police. I'm going to put it all up on the screen for you guys, and I'm going to go over it in 1 second. I'm just asking you guys to do one thing. You need to share this video everywhere, because I have to title the video strangely, or Google and YouTube will flag it, pull it down, and delete it. So nobody's going to want to click on this video, and nobody's going to see this video if you guys aren't sharing it, because it's titled so weird. But anyway, let me just jump right into it. I'm going to give you guys the information. After I give it to you, I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm going to put it on the screen so that you can see where it was sent, so you can track the information down for yourself. Okay. So this is probably the realest we're ever going to get from the Las Vegas thing, this information hack. Stephen Paddock was an FBI agent supplying arms to ISIS inside the USA. The LVMPD knows the motive behind the attack, but the FBI will not allow us to release the motive because it implicates the FBI in illegal arms deals and supplying arms to ISIS terrorists inside the U.S. borders. Stephen Paddock was an undercover FBI agent who participated in multiple illegal arms deals in the Las Vegas area in a gun-running entrapment scheme similar to Fast and Furious. Paddock thought he was engaging in another routine arms transfer. But ISIS had learned about the entrapment scheme and Paddock's true identity. They killed him and carried out the massacre and then fled the scene. Everything is being kept under extreme wraps because armed ISIS terrorists are still at large, and this is very embarrassing to the FBI, and they don't want the scheme to become public knowledge. I'll be putting further information up. There's still some more. I'm not going to read it all. This is in regards to the cameras. It's also mentioned the reason Stephen Paddock had cameras up everywhere, because he was an FBI agent, because he was recording the arms deal he was about to do. They were supposed to bust the ISIS terrorists before they carried out the massacre. Everything got all screwed up. But anyway, he did have cameras set up. The cameras and video are being examined by the FBI. So look, I got to title the video weird. It's not going to get out. Nobody's going to see it. I'm counting on every single person who views this to share it everywhere they can. If you guys don't share it, it's not going to get out. And you owe me for this one because I'm in trouble. My wife's trying to put the baby to sleep and I'm keeping him up. So you guys owe me. Share this video. Get the information out. I'm going to title it funny. I'm counting on you guys. Spread the word.
Hi everyone, very interesting piece of footage from on the floor of the concert at Las Vegas at the shooting incident that happened on the weekend. I'm going to show a clip of video at normal speed, just how it came off of the guy's phone. And then I'm going to close up on the bottom left-hand corner, which is where you should be paying attention. I'm going to slow it down and brighten it a little bit. And then there's another part of this video. What you're looking at is it looks like someone in a security guard uniform pops up and aims something at the crowd. It's very curious. All right, watch. All right, this is the full thing. Keep your eye on the bottom left-hand corner. Now you're going to see a guy in a hat and there he is. Now behind him, look, okay, there's the guy that looks dressed as a security guard. Here's, that was just a close-up. Now a slowed down close-up. Now I've brightened it and I've sharpened it. It really doesn't help, but what is he doing? So here's the full thing again. Here comes a guy in a cowboy hat and American flag shirt, getting away from the shots, and here comes our guy. There he goes. So I'll slow down just that part now, or I'll isolate just that part. Now he looks like he has something in his hand, in his right hand. Close up, a little slower. Now I'm gonna freeze frame. It's really terrible quality video.
Okay, there's a lot of controversy regarding multiple shooters in the Las Vegas massacre. And then there's a video debunking this as a strobe light, showing the light was flashing before the shooter started shooting. There's another video that's a little more rare, and it keeps getting taken down every time it's put back up on the internet. And with this video, you can clearly see that this is not a strobe light. I will play the video at normal speed to begin with. At this speed, 30 frames per second, it's hard to see any detail, and it does look like a flashing light. However, if we slow the video down, you can see a lot more detail in this video. Specifically, you can see flashes of light protruding outwards from the window, and these flashes move in different directions, like a shooter moving his gun around as it's firing rapidly. Now remember, when it's slowed down, it appears like he's just taking little shots, but at regular speed, these shots are coming off very quickly. And a gunman trying to make maximum damage or hit as many people as possible would be moving the gun around while firing at such a large crowd. As far as the video debunking this as a strobe light, it's hard to tell exactly what was going on there. One scenario is the perpetrator may have anticipated the gun flashes and put the light there before he started shooting. The other scenario is the video could have been edited with a flashing light placed on top of existing video. Either way, it doesn't matter, because with this video you can clearly see this is not a strobe light. With that, we'll wait for the debunking video on this video. And people, I cannot stress this enough, please turn your strobe lights off during mass shootings.
So, Craig Sawyer, former highly decorated Navy SEAL, a Marine before that, great patriot, host TV shows, Discovery Channel, History Channel, you name it, Top Shot. Craig Sawyer, tacticalinsider.com, vetsforchildrescue.org, joining us, riding shotgun to give us his approximation of this. They're saying there's no motive. The motive is target Christian conservatives, target Trump supporters, and then have the relish of turning around and using it against the Second Amendment and using it against the very victims. This whole thing stinks to high heaven. Craig Sawyer is a former SEAL team leader. What do you make of this whole situation?
Well, from a federal criminal investigator standpoint, Alex.
That's right. You got that hat as a current federal officer. I forgot.
Yeah. Now, when you consider motive, you look at who benefits. And that's the first thought that I had. Certainly the shooter did not benefit. He didn't know those people that he was shooting up. And if he took his own life, which I don't believe now, then what benefit was that to him? He could have just killed himself and left everybody else out of it. So he didn't benefit. So who benefits? Well, I see people that are already preaching what they're after right on his heels. Hillary Clinton and the others, the gun grabbers, they're the ones that are looking to benefit. So I would look at them first as far as motive. And who do they serve? What agenda are they on? And you're tracking on it, Alex. It's a big global agenda for control over the United States. So we've got to look deeper there to find out why this keeps happening.
And look at who owns the hotel. Serious hardcore Antifa, George Soros connected, Muslim extremist care organization that may be listed as a terror group. I mean, they are heavy fundraisers, heavily involved. 5 days he's in there with all these guns, all these weapons. Folks are running around in the crowd saying, get out of here, you're about to die. I mean, Craig, this was executed pretty sloppily, but in a place they thought they had protection.
Yeah, tactically, it doesn't make any sense for him to have had that many weapons if he wanted to do a lot of harm, I could understand him having several weapons in case one failed and a lot of ammunition.
They want to trot out every configuration in front of Congress and ban every single one of them.
Yeah. This was a political hit job, is what it was. As much as an assault on those precious victims there, this was an assault on our Constitution. And it's, I think it's readily apparent what they're after with the gun grabbing. And I think we've got to have an honest look. You know, some people are taking a calmer approach, saying, look, if we want honest and genuine solutions, let's look at why this is happening. That's my thing, is why does this keep happening? Not the how, because look, crazy people go on mass murder binges with trucks, with bombs, with knives, with chemicals, with poison, with anything that they can get their hands on.
Sure, but it's the season we're in right now. We're in the season of political overthrow. The Democrats have said they were going to do this starting October 1st. I was on air Sunday night saying I'm surprised the mass shooting hasn't started today.
Yeah.
I mean, look at folks like Colonel Schaefer, who has all his big sources. He's saying this is basically a Democratic Party generated operation just by them calling for the violence. The target tells you the motive, the media being ready to go after the Second Amendment. This, as you said, Craig, this really smells as politically motivated. We found the clip that Laura Loomer has tweeted out. We were retweeting it at Real Alex Jones right now. Here he is, the brother of the reported shooter, clearly going off a statement, repeating like a parrot the same thing over and over again, but then he slips up and says this.
You used the phrase evil genius. Do you think that he was?
I'm sorry. I mean, that's the thing I shouldn't have said. But that's what people are, I mean, that he's this, you know, but he's a highly intelligent, there's absolutely no, and this is the other part that I want to stress with this, that it doesn't matter that they won't chase people, but people are saying, oh, you must have had help. Steve had no help. Steve didn't take help. It did not take a village for Steve. Steve was an I'm sorry. Please don't. I'm using a colloquial, I was about to use a colloquial term that would besmudge one of the armed forces. Steve was a standalone guy.
Oh my gosh, this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
Steve, if you wanted to hang out with Steve, hung out with Steve.
This guy's wearing an earpiece for sure. Craig, watching this as also a federal officer in clandestine stuff. I mean, what do you make of this? This is just insane.
Yeah, it looks like he caught himself, or somebody caught him in his earpiece saying, hey, whoa, what are you? Easy there. But look, we have to be intelligent enough as a society, as American citizens, to realize what our global enemies want. They need us divided and disarmed in order to put us under their ultimate control. And they've got a lot of control already, but to finish it off, they need us divided and disarmed, and we must not play into it. So we need to unite, and I would say to people that are kneeling, that are rioting, that are wearing masks, that are attacking innocent families, to shut them up. You're unwitting accomplices. You're helping our enemies by fueling that division.
Well, you've seen how many Democrats, Craig, have openly celebrated, saying, good, they're a bunch of white Trump supporters. They deserve to die. The vice president of CBS said it. I've got like 6-7 articles today. Trudeau said it's white supremacy's the problem.
Well, to Joe Biden, I would say, hey, yeah, let's have a conversation, Joe, but let's have a conversation about why your demographic, why your political party voters are the ones committing all the mass murder. Why are
and
they
then the
all
media covers it up. Stay there. Laura Loomer's got a bunch more, too. Stay with us. This is an incredible time to be alive. Craig Sawyer also is a weapons expert. I wanted to get his take on, does it sound like one shooter or two shooters? I know there's echoes and things. I've talked to some other Green Beret, Special Forces folks. They say it sounds like multiple shooters to them, but acoustically, I know it's hard to scientifically pin that down. Here's some of that audio. You're a weapons expert. You hear what's going on with that audio. Talked to a lot of other experts. They say they're suspicious about it. What do you think?
Well, it does sound like multiple shooters, Alex. But keep in mind, an urban environment, anytime you get contact in an urban environment, it's very, very confusing. The echo is overwhelming. You can't necessarily tell which direction it's coming from because of that echo. And you can't always tell how many shooters there are because of that. So it is difficult, it's tricky, but I will say, even with that considered, this does sound like multiple shooters because of the different pitch, the different frequency, and different tempo of a couple of the strings of fire there. So one thing to consider too is those slide fire mechanisms do allow for a variance in rate of fire. So in one of those strings of fire, you hear the round slowing as the end of the string of fire finishes off, and that's typical of a bump fire or slide fire mechanism. So it's hard to tell for sure, but there was a lot of fire there, a lot of echo. It did sound like there were multiple strings of fire happening simultaneously.
Now, adding all this together, we don't know exactly what's going on, but we know they said this time of violence was coming. They're going to overthrow Trump. They're going to get our guns. We know they sent Democrats out to shoot Scalise. CNN celebrated it. I have the video and said he was not a bad guy. He was upset politically. So they're trying to encourage this. They admit they are. They have Democrat operatives on TV saying #hunt Republicans. As a top counterterrorism guy, what do you think we should do? What do you think we're up against here? I mean, clearly they're making their move. I think all the evidence points towards this being a Democrat deep state operation.
Yeah, well, the first thing is we cannot allow them to divide us. That's what they need. In order to gain leverage and control over us as a nation, they need to divide us and weaken us. We need to be intelligent enough and strong enough not to allow that. That's how we counter this attack against all of us, whether we're Democrat, Republican, or any other subcategory that they want to divide us into. We need to unite now more than ever and stand as one nation. Realize we are all under attack. We are all being subverted and manipulated for leverage for those who want those global power mongers who want they want complete control over the United States. And so we've got to recognize that. So that's how we counter it. We stand as one. We all research rather than just feeding off of headlines from the MSM that we already know is hostile to we the American people due to who owns them and what their political outlook is. We've got to unite. We've got to educate each other, recognize what we're up against, and stand against it that way. They want to disarm us. That's one thing that we must not allow them to do. No matter how crazy the rhetoric gets, well, you hate children or something because you want to arm your family. No, we've got to be wise enough to recognize the rhetoric and that it's hostile and just stand our ground.
Well, if you look at the brother and him 360 or 180, and you look at just all the craziness and our intel that's been proven accurate, and Schaefer and the top psychiatrists, everybody's saying this points towards deep state operatives, a staged event, because of how the Democrats have been calling for violence, the whole NFL thing. They're trying to turn this country upside down and start a civil war.
Yeah. Anytime you've got cameras that public doesn't have access to, they're trying to hide multiple players. I mean, you see that in a...
Sure, why would they release the footage of him? I mean, these are some of the most Craig, you're a security expert. You're a federal officer. You do all this stuff. 22 guns, all these weapons, cameras outside the hotel room. Well, they don't tell the public this, but hotels, not just casinos, have a procedure. When you first leave your room, when you check in, they go search your stuff, especially if you fit a background, a profile, and then they go through everything else. And then if you've been in your room for a day, they come in whether it says do not disturb or not. The fact that he's in there for 5 days with all these weapons and not detected is impossible. And then you've got the people in the crowd saying, get out of here, you're about to die. That's confirmed. What does that sound like, Craig Sawyer?
Yeah, well, that sounds suspicious to me. Look, again, a lot of the camera footage, anytime something happens, it's a false flag. all of the camera surveillance footage gets rounded up by the feds, and nobody gets access to it ever. And no matter how long it seems to go afterwards. So that to me puts up a couple red flags is making it highly suspicious. So if it was just a single shooter, they wouldn't have any problem with people reviewing that surveillance footage from around the casino. So well, again, I think it's just a matter of recognizing the hostility and what the objective is of our enemy. Our global enemies need us divided and disarmed. That's what they're after. And if you understand their objective, you understand why they're doing what they're doing, and through that, we can best unite to counter it and not fall into the division. Let's not be rioting and kneeling and shouting each other down and wearing masks and mass murdering each other. We gotta be sharper than that, or we're all in this together, Americans. We are all in it together. We're about to lose the rest of our freedom by being foolish. So I say that's the key, Alex. Recognize what's going on, research, network, share with each other what's going on, and look at it as honestly and accurately as possible, and stand as one nation against.
That's right. Thank you, Craig Sawyer. We'll talk to you. TacticalInsider.com very, very soon.
Renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas in the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply.
Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
Senator Kennedy has been shot. Is that possible? He still has the gun. The gun is pointed at the feet at this moment. Take a hold of his thumb and break it if you have to. We have done explosion and we are defending and we agree. Let's try our best.
People calling themselves members of the Weather Underground last night planted bombs in federal office buildings in Washington and Oakland, California.
They took the babies out of the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
Survivors of the USS Liberty are demanding a congressional investigation into what happened and acknowledgement that the Israeli Air Force bombed a U.S. intelligence Navy ship.
The death of bin Laden marks the most significant achievement to date in our nation's effort to defeat al-Qaeda.
The Taliban is taking responsibility for shooting down a U.S. helicopter. More than 30 people were killed, and there are reports this morning that most of them are U.S. Navy SEALs.
There may be a false flag incident where some ship goes down and you be used for the excuse to accelerate the next war.
If there's one thing that has unified Democrats and Republicans, and everybody in between, is that we all hated the bank bailout.
The Department of Homeland Security is apparently on a huge ammo buying spree.
It comes out to like 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition.
Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people.
They estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill.
I'm here to warn people. You keep telling me to shut up. This isn't a game.